not actually interested in fighting terrorism. That's the truth of the matter. Her record shows that. In Manchester, the same. The guy who blew himself up had been reported by 5 different Muslims, including his mother. Why is the government going to fall? This lady was telling us a week ago that she would be off to Brussels to sort out the Europeans. She would have a mandate from millions and millions of Brexiteers fighting for the nation and for our security and our safety. And she would be out there telling the German what for, telling the French what for. And now, who is going to take her seriously? They're going to turn, the Germans are going to say, Chancellor Merkel will turn and say, "Good afternoon, Theresa. And who's this woman, Arlene Foster, with you? What's her links with terrorists? Okay. Perhaps we should meet again in a few days' time." Knowing that this Theresa May is, as George Osborne said this morning,
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
Zombie, a zombie.
She's the Walking Dead.
She looks like this already.
Now, sorry? Of the Walking Dead. Well, it's unfortunate. I heard him say that she'll be getting some sleep. She needed sleep all along during the campaign. She was trying to do the Margaret Thatcher thing, you know, sleep 2 hours a day and wake up, but she couldn't cope. These massive bags under her eyes. And the inability to talk with human beings. It's a small problem for a politician if you can't talk with human beings. It tends to be a little bit of an asset if you can talk to human beings. But let's deal with why Labour will be in power. Because why was Jeremy Corbyn supported? Apart from the character, honesty, integrity and hope, it was because when the manifesto was released to abolish tuition fees, to create a national education service from the cradle to the grave, to renationalise the railways, the postal service, energy companies, create a national investment bank and nationalise the water industry, to protect the National Health Service, to provide 4 extra bank holidays, so we have holidays like other Europeans do,
17 saints.
to protect the rights of European migrants who live here and now live in fear. On that simple programme of hope, we turned the most incredibly bad opinion polls, 24% behind to 2% behind. We took Canterbury, ladies and gentlemen, of the Canterbury Tales. Canterbury.
Yeah, but you lost Mansfield and Middlesbrough. And those are safe.
My friend, I make a prediction. When the next election happens, probably within a few months to a year, we will win Westminster. We will win Westminster from Markfield. We will. We won't want Kensington. We will sweep the board. Yes, yes. There are a couple of places where the Tory message managed to percolate through, managed to hold its own, but the overwhelming process that happened was a tidal wave towards Labour, a huge shift towards Labour, from the beginning of the campaign to the end. In Wales, they said Labour would lose to the Tories, and then a week before the election, a 17% swing to Labour. The key was this. There was a great revolutionary by the name of Vladimir Lenin, used to be in Speaker's Corner in 1901. And one of his famous slogans was this:
Revolution is a reform party.
he who has the youth has the future. And we won 70% of the vote of the 18 to 24 year olds. 70%. And all the newspapers, the television, the pundits, the journalists, the politicians from the right wing, they all said the youth will never vote. The young people aren't interested in politics. What does it matter to them? What do they care? And I knew this was going to happen. Why? Because there was one event, one single event, that marked the entire election campaign and determined, in my eyes, that Labour were on the path to a massive political upset, which is what we just seen. No. It was during the election campaign. And it was a random event. Jeremy Corbyn was invited to speak at a pop concert by one of the bands called the Libertines. There were 20,000 young people, completely random, not Labour Party supporters, completely random, in the stadium in Liverpool. And when it was announced, I brought a friend along. You might like to hear from him. His name is Jeremy Corbyn. A massive cheer went up. And then, when Jeremy was speaking, the chant went out like this: "Whoa, Jeremy Corbyn! Whoa, Jeremy Corbyn! Whoa, Jeremy Corbyn!" That was when I knew the game is up. We have mobilised the youth, and through the youth went to their parents, to their uncles, to their aunts, to their grandparents, those who they said were guaranteed to vote and would vote heavily for the Tory party. But the young educate the older generation. Sigmund Freud used to say, the child is the parent of the adult. He who has the youth inevitably has the future. And our message of transforming the balance of power, housing the people, we will build 1 million homes in 5 years. Half of them council flats or council homes. That alongside rent control. Provide people with 3-year rental contracts. Abolish 0-hour employment contracts. Provide for the people first and tax the top 5% and the corporations, the biggest corporations, like Amazon, Google, Facebook, the mobile phone companies like Vodafone, like Uber, the internet exploiters of the freelance drivers. I tell you this, as that message, we had 4 weeks of equal television coverage. For the first time in 2 years. 4 weeks is all we had. Oh, but in reality, from the manifesto, we had 4 weeks. And in that time, we created the biggest political upset in British history. The biggest political upset in British history. And the path is only going to go our way. Let's say Theresa May cobbles together her squalid deal with the terrorist sympathisers who want to bring war back to Northern Ireland. Who want to bring war back now to Northern Ireland.
Really?
Who want bombs and blood on the streets of Britain.
Who wants that? The DUP?
How else can you explain why they are destroying the agreements, the Good Friday Agreement that secured peace in Northern Ireland?
To do with the scandals, to do with a financial scandal.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's got to do with the green
How
technology company.
can the Good Friday Agreement remain when The unionist side are in the government.
You appoint
and
someone...
are holding the government to ransom.
You appoint someone outside
How
of government.
can there be
like an
independent government in Ireland if in London the government is ransomed by the UDP, allied DUP, allied to the UDA, a terrorist prescribed network in Ireland?
You appoint someone independent of government, like an American senator who is involved in the peace process. You appoint someone who's accepted by both sides.
This woman is capable of organising deals on Brexit, securing us against terrorism.
Well, I agree with you.
Changing 950 laws for the European Brexit process. At the same time as she's in hock to extreme lunatic unionists whose ideology is little different from the IS in Syria. Little different. It's the Christian equivalent. And by the way, that's right, by the way, thank you for reminding me. By the way, it appears last year, during the Brexit vote, that you may remember there was a 4-page advert on the front of the Metro in London. Someone investigated. They found out that advert cost £243,000 to pay for. Who paid for it? The DUP. The DUP paid for it. Where did they get the money? Where did they get the money? It seems to be the case that a Saudi Arabian sheikh paid the money for that advertisement. No other normal political organisation is allowed to blow money like that on that Brexit campaign. They managed to get a loophole to get by this. Now, there is something very sinister going on in Britain. But I believe that it is not even an intentional sinister campaign. I don't even think Theresa May has bothered to investigate the links between active terrorist organisations and Arlene Foster, with whom she's now negotiating the new government of Britain. I don't think she's even bothered to investigate. So desperate is she to cling with utter desperation to power that I think she doesn't care about the security of our people, of the safety of our people, and the peace in Northern Ireland. And by the way, let's not forget, she has form on this. She has form. Last week, when there was a terrorist attack in London, and people were stabbed and run over on the streets of London, many of them European citizens, now threatened to be booted out of England by Theresa May's marvellous Brexit is Brexit. The guy, for example, the Spanish guy, goes around on skateboard. He ran up to these guys who he thought were strapped up with suicide bombs. He smashed him around the back of the head with his skateboard. Two of the other guys stabbed him in the back and killed him. This is one of the people Theresa May believes are parasites on Britain, along with the other Europeans killed in London Bridge. And who were the killers? They were known, 2 of them were known by the British police and intelligence services. One of them was on television, on a programme on Channel 4, Jihadis Next Door, which I had watched only a couple of months ago, and was a scary film. When you saw those guys, you thought, why aren't they in prison? Well, now we know why they're not in prison. Because Theresa May, when she was Home Secretary, she's not actually interested in fighting terrorism. That's the truth of the matter. Her record shows that. In Manchester, the same. The guy who blew himself up had been reported by 5 different Muslims, including his mother. Including his mother and 2 Muslim community workers. And then she went on about Islamic terrorism.
So this won't happen under the Labour government, is that what you're saying?
My friend, we are trying to change the balance of power in British society. and to bring people together of all races, all nationalities, all sexual orientations, all social backgrounds. Bring them together in a collectivity that can root out terrorist madmen. Whether they're from Ireland, like the people that Arlene Foster met with on the 28th of May, even though they had murdered someone only a couple of days before. We are after finding out who these terrorists are to protect our communities. And we are after creating a society of peace, freedom and plenty. A society based on justice, equality, human rights. A society where the people control power instead of the powerful controlling politics. That, ladies and gentlemen, that message will continue to increase, escalate and resonate. I believe that if an election was called today, Jeremy Corbyn would get 50%. If the election is called in 6 months' time, we will get 55 or 60% of the vote.
Really?
I believe Nigel Farage...
Labour triumphalism.
Nigel Farage, not triumphalism.
It's triumphalism.
Nigel Farage and his allies will launch a new campaign. Why? Because they now say we're not tough enough. We're not racist enough. We're not fighting the Islamics enough. We're not creating enough hatred. That was the problem with the Tories. And therefore, and by the way, this is not a joke, this morning, after campaigning in Soho, where I live, after campaigning over the last few weeks, I was physically attacked on the street by a thug at 11:30 in the morning over breakfast. Came up and punched me, grabbed my mobile. When I called the police, he grabs my mobile phone and smashes it on the floor, right? His buddies refused to pass on information. But I met an old resident who I know, 90 years of age. I showed her the picture of the guy. I photographed him. I ran after him and photographed him. He tried to attack me. I managed to get away. I got 2 photographs.
I thought he threw your phone. Yeah. Sorry, just checking.
No, I borrowed a phone from the local shop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds good, mate. See you later.
It's a fact. I then went to the building where she said he lived, and I stuck posters, wanted. He will be arrested. And I believe, because there was no other reason for attacking me, I believe that's a type of political hate crime we're going to see a lot of in the next few months. And by the way, I've been speaking here 30 years and I've never been attacked. So how come on my street, outside my house, I could be physically assaulted by people?
You spoke about the good Spanish lad who, who joins skateboarder like terrorists, which is good for, the Europeans. How about one of the terrorists? He was an Italian and his mom Italian, and he was born in Italy. And he's a terrorist.
From Morocco.
Italian. It's true. Last week I
Italian,
said.
his mom is Italian. So if it was
It is
Brexit,
true.
they will not be here.
Well,
There you go.
Well,
obviously, they're
my
not
friend, the question is not what nationality they are, except in this respect.
He was born in Italy and his mom is Italian.
The training which these people got, the mental association which led them to commit terror was really learnt here.
The other one was born here.
Not somewhere else. Here they learned that. Any case, the central point I'm making is this. I'll finish on this. Gentleman here, James, says I'm being triumphalist. On the contrary, I am explaining the political dynamic in Britain. You can check my videos for the last 2 years on YouTube, and you will see from the day Jeremy Corbyn first stood for leadership of the Labour Party, when no one believed he would win, I said I believe we can win. I have supported him wholeheartedly throughout this campaign. I brought his brother here to speak with me at Speaker's Corner. I've campaigned for them because Jeremy Corbyn represents a transformation of the Labour Party, the reformation of the basic ideals of the Labour movement. Peace, freedom and plenty in harmony with the ecology. not capitalism for the rich, not a world where 8 people own more wealth than half of the world's population, but a world of justice, a world of peace, a world of equality, a world of dignity, and a world where the majority participate and control the destiny of our planet. Speed the day that the Tory government falls. Join the Labour Party, get involved, we will win sooner rather than later.
What you think? Scottish Labour